Hey, welcome to the Moto Academy Members Podcast, where we dive deeper into the world of motocross and the life of each of the members in the community. This time I'm hosting this podcast. I'm Christian Geloof, and in this episode I have a fascinating discussion with Mind Moto. Whether you're a TMA member or just interested in motocross, this could be your podcast. Sit back, relax, and join us in this journey where we learn more about the life of each of the members. If you like the podcast, do the thumbs up. Let's get started. The first TMA member of this podcast, that is me, myself, and I, Christian Geloof. Born December 1973, and I live in the Netherlands. TMA member number 2, that is Elking, better known as Mind Moto, born September 1985 in United Kingdom. To have an idea where we live, I show you here a map of the world. On the left hand side you see the flag of the United States. On the right bottom side you see the flag of Australia. And somewhere in the middle, that is where we live. Let me zoom in. You see on the left hand side that is United Kingdom, and on the right hand side you see the Netherlands. Okay, not sure what he's doing. Start recording.
Should be recorded. Right? I better like that. No.
Yeah, you can do that. For that doesn't really matter. Just
Doesn't really matter. Okay, fine.
For now. Don't you have the holder this time?
No, so I've left my stand at work. I had planned on going into work today, but things gone a little bit south, so I didn't bother.
Okay. You can hear me good enough?
Great. Yeah, can you hear me? Okay.
Okay. Can you see the clock or not?
Clock, yeah.
Yeah. 3:42 p.m.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Mine says 2:42 p.m., so that would work. That would work fine.
Yeah. That's my local time, of course. The thing is, how do I know and how do I stop the recording? I have no idea. Let's just let it run and run and run. Whatever. It's recording somewhere.
Right,
I see
good.
something happening here in my browser as if he's downloading all the time.
Okay, so that must mean it's recording something.
It must be recording something. In itself, because you're running on speaker or not?
Yeah, just running on speaker. Yeah.
It doesn't even sound that bad.
Oh, okay, good. Well, that could work then.
So,
that could work.
To be honest, that is not. I would not say. The most important thing in this story. For me, the sound is pretty okay.
Cool.
It is, of course. I see that you're holding the thing. That is a little bit like it looks.
Yeah.
It looks tiring. Yeah.
That's fine. I'm resting on my knee. I'm fine. I'm happy. But yeah, no, it will be much better when I got my stand.
Yeah, of course. Just a general question first.
Yep.
So you have your own business, you said?
I do, yeah. I started out as a shoe repairer, so I repair shoes.
Okay.
Well, I repair and make shoes.
What is that?
Make? I make shoes, yeah. So I make gents like formal leather shoes.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. I started doing it probably got to be 20 years ago now, I reckon.
Yeah.
But I started my own company 9 years ago. I actually entered a competition in 2014 and I won the British Shoe Repairer of the Year competition.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then the year later in 2015, I won the World Shoe Repair title in Jacksonville in Florida.
Okay.
And off the back of that World Championship, the brand of shoe that I used, that company actually reached out to me and wanted me to do their repairs for them. So it kind of all tied in that I won that title, and then the company, Oliver Sweeney is the company.
Yeah.
They reached out to me and wanted me to do their repairs, and it was such a good contract that enabled me to start my own business. So
Nice.
the rest is history, as they say.
But
But yeah,
you still get a lot of work via that
yeah,
thing then.
too. I mean, obviously, COVID when that hit, it was a bit disastrous for it really, because Oliver Sweeney had I think it was 7 stores across the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they all closed because people weren't shopping in stores.
Oh.
So it just wasn't viable for them to stay open. So they closed all their stores, which obviously in turn dropped a massive percentage in my work.
Yeah, exactly.
So since COVID, it's been a bit of a struggle to kind of keep my head above water.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm just thinking here, special shoes for people who has maybe disformed foot or something. Is that?
yeah, so that's like an orthopedic. You mean like
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
orthopedic? So again, those kind of things are a little trickier
Hmm.
because what comes into play there is the actual form that you make a shoe on is called a last.
Yeah.
And when it comes to more orthopedic kind of custom shoes, you have to have an orthopedic last.
Oh.
So obviously that becomes costly because you've got to then pay to have that last made, and you've got to have all the processes that go along with that. Whereas on like more of a standard last, which is like a straight fit, like for example, the likes of me and you would go into a store and buy a certain last.
Yeah.
That's kind of off the shelf last, so it makes it a little bit more complex, and not a lot of people really want to spend that kind of money on bespoke shoes. But yeah, I mean, it does. There's plenty of people out there who are willing to. It's just for me, I find it difficult sometimes to kind of stay in love with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think when you're creative, it's important to kind of love what you're doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does.
So yeah, so when I guess you fall out of love with something, it's tricky to kind of keep your motivation going, but it's one of those things. It's just part of kind of keeping going, isn't it? And processing through life. So what is it you do, Christian?
Well, I'm an instructor.
Okay.
So and I work as an instructor. At least that is the easiest way to explain it. I always say at Philips.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so everybody knows Philips from the light bulbs, huh?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
nowadays, well, you can still buy light bulbs with Philips on it, but they're not. Yeah, they used to be Philips. Now it's called in. I always forget that name. In Signify, sorry, Signify is the name nowadays. Although they on the light bulbs they still use that brand Philips, etc. The only thing
Mm-hmm.
is the company Philips, they split that up. So they said, okay, the lightning is going to be something else, but it's called Signify now. And I'm in
Mm-hmm.
the leftover stuff what Philips is doing, and that is all in the medical devices.
I see.
So I have to train engineers who have
Mm-hmm.
to maintain, um, yeah, let's say in my case, they are the big equipment that are fixed, installed in an hospital, that they have
Mm-hmm.
these big C arms. And if a person has a heart attack or something, yeah, he comes on such a device and they start to do some plumbing in that patient, I would say, in easy words.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, that is the only way how I can explain it in easy words because that's what they do. So they go inside the veins and then see if there's a blockage, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the equipment can do that. It has an X-ray source and it has a detector, and they put some contrast into the patient, and then they visualize the inside of vessels. And
Yeah, I've seen.
when it's blocked, yeah, the doctor can also recognize that, and they can then try to see if they can undo the blockage. That there are several. They first have to figure out a little bit what kind of blockage it is. Most of the time, they go through with a very thin device,
Mhm.
because also the doctor can sometimes not see how long the blockage is. If
Yeah.
often it is confined to a spot, but you do not know
Mm.
that exactly up front. And then they puncture it with something to yeah, remove the blockage, and maybe insert a stand. Nowadays that is quite common.
Yeah.
Is a sort of hash wire, and then they keep the vessel open, because you can puncture it, but most often, and you can that was in the old days, they just put a balloon and open it up the vessel a little bit like that.
Oh, I see. So they inflated it.
Yeah, they inflated it, but and then go back and forth a little bit, so in the hope that would do something. And but most of the time the vessel just returns back over time, and then you get the blockage again. So nowadays they put these hash wires in, and they glue themselves, so to say, to the outside. And the hash wire also has a little bit of medication on it, so that it
Hmm.
can resolve that what was there a little bit, and also that the body accepts this thing better now.
Mm. It's incredible, isn't it? How technology has kind of advanced in those areas.
Well,
And
on one end, yes. On the other end, nah, not. I mean, I worked there 18 years, and if I look at how it was 18 years ago, it's still sort of basically still the same device. There's only huge pieces of software around it that help the doctor doing his work. And
mm,
let's say in the beginning, he had to really look to a black and white image, and that was it. And
hmm
nowadays, it's slowly going to images with coloring, with lines, with measurements on that thing, up to, and that is probably not far away, but up to the point that the computer is going to give an advice what he's seeing.
yeah. So, what part do you think like the invention of AI is going to play in technology like that? Do you think it's
Yeah,
going to play a big?
100%. So
Mm,
the doctor will get his own AI assistant, and they're already working on this. Um, I'm not 100% sure if Philips is such a main player in this, but there will be universities doing this. And then
mm,
I think it's more that Philips will just buy something like that and a sort of
yeah,
license for that, and then they will offer that as a piece of software
yeah.
in our equipment.
So
Because
that's absolutely the way the future's going, isn't it?
yeah, because they say
Yeah.
that that AI that will outwork 10 doctors,
Wow.
because yeah, it can combine so much information that one person can never do in his life.
Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? How I wonder what the impact of things like AI will come up on society. You know, when you say that
Yeah.
it could potentially take the job of 10 doctors, that means that there's 10 future doctors who aren't going to have a job. You wonder what that looks like for
Yeah,
society.
in some extent, that is the thing. What uh, people are saying, that indeed AI will take over jobs from people.
Mm,
However, we're not there yet, so to say. We're
yeah.
still on the verge of going in that direction.
Mm,
But you do see smaller things appearing, and but yeah, I think in the beginning, and maybe you can think about it, glass half empty, and that is okay,
yeah.
people lose their job. But you can also
Yeah.
say the glass half full, because if I go, for instance, to a country where they do not have a doctor, where they do not have a nurse, like in Africa, but
Mm,
with we have that also. We sometimes provide all the systems to those countries for free or a very small fee or something. We
yeah.
cannot maintain those systems for a long time most of the time, but at least they have something, and now they have nothing. But yeah,
Mm,
if you do not have a doctor, then if you would have an AI, at least you have half a doctor.
of course. Yeah. Of course.
So
And so,
yeah,
yeah. So those locals in somewhere like Africa, that, and I've been to Africa personally, and when you're way out away from any civilization, to have a village doctor who had access to, for example, an app
Yeah.
that would allow them to be taught and talked through a procedure,
Yeah.
it could be game changing. It could be game changing.
That is a little bit the idea. So yeah, in that respect, yeah, that's what I
But of
said.
course,
That is half full, half empty. So
right?
there is, for let's say in our world, there is maybe a
Yeah,
negative. So it will replace
I
jobs.
think the West see it as negative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you think about yeah, countries where it is expensive, where they have too little of those people, well, there it is a plus, I guess. But
For
there is
sure.
also, at least that is how I see it, and how many other people see it as well, that there will be a balance if we go further into the future, that um, although the AI is already possible to, yeah, let's say, deviate from a straight path by itself,
Mm.
still it needs input. Do you understand? So without new input, I think it will not further evolve. So
Yeah.
that is still human. That
Yeah.
we
Just to frame what you're saying in a slightly different way, it has to be, yeah, AI can't develop itself, right?
exactly, that is a little bit the thing. Although AI can evolve, yeah, so it can learn, but there
Mm.
will be also some, yeah, some limits, so to say, and not
Yeah, of
in the
course.
way we have as a human, because the human has more. We cannot combine. Let's put it in that direction, huh? We cannot
Yeah.
have
We can't fathom.
100 images
Yeah.
in our head. That's impossible, so to say. But we stack a little bit or something in a different way, and that gives us also the possibility of going right where the AI would go always go left.
Of course.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure how I can say that, but and that makes it also that humans figure out stuff. Okay, they also do
Yeah.
something wrong, but a lot of the time we find out things by accident or by, yeah, a sort of hunch, we call it.
Yeah. For sure. And then experimenting on those hunches, and I think it's a lot like the landscape of warfare, for example, looks a lot different with the integration of AI, because suddenly you recognise that humans aren't quite as vulnerable then when you're looking at drones and you're looking at AI as part of warfare. So I think that has a real positive impact on modern infantry and modern infrastructure of war. Would you agree?
Yeah, if we start talking about war, I have to start thinking about Terminator, of course. Yeah, I don't. Yes,
That's the next, making robots.
yeah,
That's going to be,
that is the problem. If the AI becomes conscious, that is the whole thing, and you never know where that is, because I can tell you, if you ever played with a chat GPT and if you ask stuff, it's like sometimes it feels like that you're talking to a person. Of course, you're
yeah,
typing, but and of course the next version you're going to talk to to that piece of software, but sometimes you think, well, that was a really smart answer.
yeah, for sure. Or it remembers something. You're like, wait, and you'll ask it. A friend of mine has it, and you'll ask it a question, and then say a few days later you'll ask a separate question, and what it will do is it'll integrate the idea it gave you
Yeah,
previously into the steps, and you're like, whoa, what?
yeah,
Where did that
yeah. That is then typically AI. That is typically that it can go for a long time, and combine that all together. That as a human, we do that much slower, so to say, I
come? Of
think.
course, for sure, for sure. It always kind of like, it interests me in the fact that what technology and society is going to look like when, for example, Morgan and Miles, my two
Yeah.
boys, when they're my age, and what is the world going to look like? Do you see that it's going to be a positive thing or a negative thing? It's hard to know, isn't it? It's a big question.
Yeah, I don't know, because I have a lot of colleagues and we talk about this stuff a lot in, let's say, the coffee corner. That's
Yeah, good place.
and yeah. yeah, some see it negative, some see it like, well, they see it as positive, and but as usual, because it's unknown, and
Yeah, of
people
course.
also are a little bit scared of these things. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I can, for instance, one of my colleagues, he's like, yeah, I have to tell my youngsters to watch out with this, and yeah, so that is a little bit how he thinks about that. And I'm like, yeah, watch out for what? I mean, yeah, you cannot stop it. It's there. It's already in the browser. You're on top in Edge. If I click, it's there. So,
yeah.
and what I heard, for instance, there was another colleague that was yesterday. Um, she has a boy of 19 years. So he's
Mm,
doing these school assignments, of course. And he had to do something online. I have no idea exactly what. He has to research something, read something, and then fill in something. And he decided it would take too long for him because it
mm.
would take maybe 2 or 3 hours to do. So he did a search with Chat GPT, and he created with Chat GPT his complete answer. And he
Genius.
finished also the exam what was online for it. The only thing what went wrong that was his name, because he had to log in and he used his Google account, and that didn't say his full name. So the teacher
Okay.
said, "Yeah, I cannot accept this because I do not see your full name here." And of
Oh
course,
no.
yeah, it's just a display, but
Yeah, that's a shame. That's a shame.
yeah,
It's tricky. I mean, it's like it's funny because when often we talk about this kind of like AI and what society and things are going to look like. It's interesting because, for example, if we can go full circle and look back at the likes of motocross, right?
yeah.
They're the types of things that aren't really affected by AI and the kind of evolution of technology. In a sense, they just are what they are, and they'll always be what they'll be. So it's
Mm,
interesting.
nah, no,
Those
I don't.
you agree?
I think that for every sport, and you see that with Formula One,
Mm,
you see new technology coming in. To be
mhm.
honest, it's even a starter for new technology. The only
Yeah,
thing is with motocross, sorry to say, um, yeah, there's not so much money in it, and therefore the development is just as slow as snails.
yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, because there's just not enough financial backing, is there? There's not enough incentive.
Exactly, and if you look at Formula One, there's much more incentive for it. So, and that's why you have an E Formula One, for instance, because
Yeah,
yeah, there's already a combination they also made with E to some extent in the Formula One. What I understood, I'm not such
mm,
a Formula One guy, but okay. And
I don't. Too many wheels.
yeah, too many wheels, too much, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that is with MotoGP that is also going to go in that way. Yeah, they're still running these roaring engines, but there also will at some point be an E class, and that is also what you see in motocross.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and you'll know, having experienced the Stark.
Yeah,
Do you see that as a positive thing?
I bought one.
You bought one? Oh, that's amazing. I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
I
Cool.
bought one. Yeah, I did not drive it
You
yet,
brought.
but I bought one.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. I haven't ridden one yet, and I really, really want to ride one because I think there's something about it that I think I'm just going to really get on with, and the biggest thing for me when it comes to the dark whole e movement is noise,
Yeah,
right? I can literally, I'm very lucky to live in a beautiful area,
yeah,
and I've got a field directly across from my
yeah.
house that I could ride in every day, and no one would even know I was there.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. That is.
That's
I think for my point of view, I think the E motocross bike is going to uh, be the salvation of motocross. To be honest,
I
at least
think I
if I
agree.
look in my area, for instance, in Belgium. I don't know if you
Yeah.
heard about that. They had about, I think, 30, 40 motocross tracks in that, at least 30 motocross tracks. And I think they still have three.
It's not good, is it?
And they all
Not.
closed because of noise, and
Yeah.
because of, they say, well, you pollute the environment also with these devices. And they just say, start doing it electric. There is not
Hmm.
really a solution yet, I would say. Yeah, maybe a start, but there's no, there's a little bit the thing, there is no competitor for the start yet. That is, of course, yeah, that doesn't
Yeah.
really work. And KTM was, let's say, the first one to create an electronic bike. That is the,
Mm.
what was that called?
Oh, the
Okay,
E, is it
EX
EX something?
something, huh?
But wasn't the Alta made one, didn't they?
Yeah, but that is an American brand. But
Oh, yeah, okay.
yeah, the KTM had an, I think it was called EX or something, or EV. So I don't know, some.
Quite small, wasn't it? Almost like a mountain bike.
No, no, no. It was a real KTM frame. Only
Okay.
thing, I've driven it myself as well. That was, yeah, that's already 4 or 5 years ago, I think, because I was also very interested in it. So I had to have no noise motor or something.
Yeah.
And but the riding time was very short. So I
Mm.
can remember that I did not drive it more than something like 12 minutes, and then the battery was
Yeah.
drained. And I have to say that because I was going there, I can remember the guy. I get a whole story about it's safe. It is 300-volt battery and blah 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 blah. And you had three positions, and I said, "Yeah, I'm doing motocross already for a few years, so I think I can handle this thing as well." But yeah, that guy also doesn't know that, and I came with all my gear, so that would already
Yeah.
be a sign, I would say. But he insisted that it goes to mode one. Oh,
Okay.
okay, so I start driving mode one, and when you drive off, you think, "Yeah, okay, it's not doing so much." And then in the corner, there was a sort of, yeah, it was like a more BMX track, I would say, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was going in the corner. I was also almost lying on the floor because I was giving it gas to make the corner, and
It was.
there was nothing. There was no. There was
Did you
coming
did you
nothing.
see that AJ doing that?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was. It's hilarious. It was so funny because he was explaining how the mode one's great for practicing because you can go really slow and he just tips over.
yeah, yeah. I also looked at his course now because
Yeah.
I thought, oh, let's have a look at it. And he also explains, but if you're a new rider, let's think, if you're new, you never sit on a motorcycle, never on a whatever,
Perfect.
a moped or something,
Yeah.
then yeah, maybe you should start in the field and put it to 10 horsepower or 20 horsepower. Then is already enough. Yeah, but I think you will soon want to go higher. I mean,
Yeah. Which is a great way to build confidence, isn't it? I know, like when Miles, my youngest, was
yeah.
learning, I kind of had this anxiety where I was thinking this bike's too quick for him,
Oh, yeah.
and if he did whiskey throttle or he did get a bit crazy,
Yeah.
then the bike would go away from him, which is kind of scary. But with that controlled power, that would make me wanting to train him. I'd be less anxious training him. So
Exactly.
I
And
think,
I think, if especially for the youngsters, I think it is a super plus because you can,
yeah,
if you, especially the small persons, like, I don't know which age you start normally, but I see.
6 or 7.
Yeah, so let's say 6 years, and you put him on a gas bike and 50 cc. Yeah, there's nothing in
Yeah,
between, nothing and go. Eh? That is like, oh, there you go. It's like,
scary.
yeah, exactly. So also for that person sitting on it is like, well, what's happening?
Absolutely, yeah, it's
So
scary.
yeah, that is indeed scary. So I think that electric provides that, especially for youngsters.
Mm,
I know
I agree.
there was a guy who was doing trainings here in the Netherlands, and I'm
Mm,
filming also for him, and I did some classes with him as well. And he
yeah,
was telling me he wants to expand his business, and he wanted to buy the small bikes for the small kids because
yeah,
he's doing quite some kids. And I say, yeah, and what are you going to buy then? And it's like What he has in mind is that a parent has an idea that the kid says, "Okay, I want to do motocross, maybe, so I want to try it." A
Yeah, great idea.
little bit in that context, and then he
Mm,
came up with the idea of, yeah, buying these gas bikes again. And say, yeah, what for gas bikes are you going to buy? Yeah, that are these Chinese scrap bikes, of course, because yeah, else it's too expensive.
yeah,
And I said, yeah. And what about an electric one? He says, yeah, I can buy about five of the
yeah.
Chinese ones for one electric bike. I say, yeah,
Crazy, isn't it? That's the big thing, isn't it? It's
it's still too
a
expensive. But on the other
very
end, yeah, if you're a
yeah.
parent and if you can afford it, then I would go for that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It's a
Definitely,
little bit what you
definitely.
say. You're less anxious. You can also say, "Bum, now you stop." With a remote, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because the cool thing is about because I toyed when I was trying training Miles when he was very small when he first started riding. I was toying with the idea of putting like a almost like a radio controlled kill switch on the bike.
Yeah,
So if I
exactly.
saw he was in trouble,
Huh.
I could just and it would But you could that be easily put into an electric bike.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't know if you saw my last video. I was driving behind Emma for the first time on her 125. Yeah, what they do
Hmm.
then is put something in the gas that she can only give, let's say, one quarter of gas.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
But it is
that's
a
good.
mechanical thing, eh? But
Yeah,
with these gas bikes, a quarter that is already, you're almost at
fast.
half the power, right?
And on a 125, that's fast. That because they're quick, they're aggressive power, aren't they? So
Yeah,
it's not something that's not they're not very linear.
that's the problem.
And it's tough. I think so. I think having looked at the Stark and stuff, and I know you've ridden one, you own one.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of negatives, is there? To be honest, there really isn't.
Well, there are also a few things to say about this bike as well, but yeah, I think
You,
when you would have written it yourself,
mm,
then you understand why I bought it. That is really clear. And I think that is a little bit, maybe I'm not allowed to say that, but that's a little bit how it feels to me. It feels a little bit like a more older person kind of bike.
yeah, okay, yeah,
Why?
yeah. That
Because
would
it is, you can be a little bit more lazy. I mean, you do not have to shift, and you don't have
yeah,
to think about your foot position. You just put them on, you start
yeah,
driving, and if you gas, it goes. And even the lowest speed it goes. You do not need to think about your RPMs or whatever what. So and yeah, the frame is just a motocross frame, so that works just fine. That is already proven technology. The that
of
stuff
course.
that is just there.
So with the less kind of controls and the less things going on as you're riding, do you feel like you're quicker on the Stark?
Yeah, I do not dare to say that yet because I
Okay.
I did not because I also kept my two stroke, and
Hmm.
I do want to make a video about that to see on one day if I would drive the two stroke and then drive the Stark, if that would make a
Yeah,
difference. But
yeah,
I
definitely.
think personally, for me, it will make a difference
Okay.
because yeah, if you look at the videos what I'm doing with all my feet, it will influence my balance all of the time when riding. And if I'm on that Stark, I do not have to do that anymore. I can just stay there. Yeah, I mean,
One of the things that I am getting used to, but it's having my feet in the right position. So that obviously the Moto Academy way,
yeah,
getting all my shifting and braking done, and then bringing my feet back into the correct position usually unsettles me.
yeah, that,
So when
that's my
getting
point.
out the
Yeah, that's my point as well. So, and I think my right foot is sort of able to do that, but you have to brake and sometimes also shift. So you're like doing this and this, or this and this, and yeah. So
that's right.
for me, you're going from the left foot to the right foot for a moment, eh?
Yeah.
For
So have you know? I don't know about you, but I've noticed since riding the Moto Academy way,
yeah,
much more front brake than I do rear brake now because of that. Do you agree?
Uh, I find that a little bit difficult for myself to say. I told you about the class that I did, huh?
Yeah.
And we had to on purpose brake on a spot, but then we were not allowed to use the front brake.
Oh,
And I
okay.
can tell you, I was not able to stop at that spot.
Yeah, no
So
doubt. It's just locked.
it is already so much automated that I use my front brake that if I have to do it without, I I have no idea when I need to start braking
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a huge difference if you dare to use your front brake. And I think,
Got my got my dog here quickly, so I want to show
hey,
you my doggy.
what's his name?
Phil.
Phil.
Who's this? You see Christian?
Hello.
See Christian?
Hello. Oh, he hears something, but he's like, "What is that?"
So what is that? What's going on, Dad? What's going on? Sorry, Christian, I cut across you. Carry on.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. I think I learned to use the front brake uh, more when I went with my friend to Spain a few times.
Okay.
So we went 2 times to Spain, and there the tracks are going more up and down, much more
Uh-huh.
up and down than in Holland. Everything is flat, right?
Yeah.
And especially we have quite some sandy parts as well. Yeah, in a sandy track, if you give your gas go, you're like, whoa, you're
Yeah.
almost over your
Got
steering,
flat.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah, you do not have to brake, and especially not the front brake is not required. You just let go of the gas and there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And but what I found also is because obviously AJ talks a lot about roll speed into
yeah.
turns. I find that I'm not using my brakes as much as no, actually, I'll frame it differently. I used to use my brakes more than I needed to,
Yeah.
right? So I'm slowing down less. So
Yeah, but
I then don't
is
so much on.
is it that you in the past maybe braked and then but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'd get my braking done early, and then I'd realise, oh no, I've got another 20 feet to the turn, and then gas back on. So now I'm cutting out that kind of middleman, and I'm using my roll speed better. I find that actually I don't really use my back brake that much, and it's quite surprising that I'm not, I'm just not, and I'm using a lot more of my front brake. But it's not like I'm yanking it
it's
on.
not possible. Yeah.
Exactly, you just fall. But it's like I'm being much more kind of oddly, I'm being more tentative. Is that the right word? Tentative with the brakes,
Huh.
but going quicker, which is weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I,
it's all
I, I, I think what I, for instance, in the past did much less before I looked at any of his videos is downshift first. I
yeah,
in the past I was just going to the corner, and then at the corner I started downshifting, and yeah,
yeah.
and you have to sort of start everything again if you have to do that.
But that's such great advice, isn't it? By getting everything done early, you don't have to think about those things
Yeah,
in the turn.
no, exactly.
That it's just, and like you say, I think I'm probably the same as you. I used to kind of do all my braking, and then when I was in the
Yeah,
turn, almost shift.
too done.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Mad.
Yeah, I don't know, and I think what it also brings, what I do get a little bit from other persons when they ride behind me, they say that I brake really early. They're really like
Yeah,
they're on my rear wheel because they brake very late. And but what I feel is that when you start shifting back, you also have the feel of RPM much better. I
yeah,
can remember in the past that I was in the corner and I was, oh, one more, and or that you go too low and you're like, you stand up and you,
yeah.
oh, okay,
You're
that was, and now I
like a
have that
fool.
much less because I start shifting back. Okay, maybe a little bit early for the other people behind me. There, I'm braking earlier for them, for their feeling, but I'm
Yeah,
in the right gear for the corner, so I can
right.
just drive it. Well, call it how you call it, but Yeah.
And it all corresponds, doesn't it? Because I think if you, by braking earlier into the turn and carrying roll speed, you actually go quicker through the turn.
Yeah.
So they might think, oh, well, I'm right on your back wheel coming under braking. Yeah, that might be true, but you're going quicker through the turn. So it all kind of swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, to be honest, because I have a friend who is doing motocross much longer than I have been doing,
Yeah.
and he doesn't really agree with AJ on another.
Really?
Yeah, no, he doesn't, because he is like going into a corner, hit the brake hard, and even get the clutch in, and he shifts. Yeah, I don't know, but he has so much experience, and it throws his motorcycle around and goes down.
Yeah.
But if I'm
Yeah.
behind him, I cannot keep up with him because he's doing that so fast. So he has
Yeah. Yeah.
automated that process, let's say, in such a way, and he says I need that in an especially in a race, because sometimes I need to go like this, and sometimes I need to go like this under to cut under and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So he says, yeah, I need that possibility to fully brake and throw the bike around and go in a different direction than the person in front of me who is doing that what we do, making that round every time on the same spot.
Yeah. And I think what you're suggesting would also work better in a more supercross environment when you've got kind of bowl turns, when you've got to turn sharp and turn quickly. I think that might work better. But yeah, I mean, I've been racing for 23 years. Hey, Phil. I've been racing for 23 years. Out of the way, dog. And I found that everything AJ teaches has made me a better rider. And I think everything, literally everything.
Okay.
And I from going from what I used to do, where I think my approach was always go as fast as you can and try and stay on.
Yeah.
Where he's taught going slower and integrating those techniques and those body positions, and I found that I've never ridden better. I'm not saying I've never been better. I've never ridden better.
I
Which
think especially if he talks about, let's say, that riding slower. Um,
yeah, slow is smooth, right?
well, not necessarily. I think, and that's what I try to explain also a little bit in the video for myself, is that
Mm.
it is very hard to go slower than your maximum.
Yeah,
It feels like, yeah, but I'm holding back. I can go faster.
yeah, that's right.
The only thing is then you come to the point that you can only ride with that what is automated, I think. And if you
Mm.
go slower, you have more time to process what's going on,
Mm.
and then you can start doing stuff. For instance, I can remember that I had a discussion a long time ago already that I said it's impossible that I'm going to do the one hand drill on the track.
Yeah,
That's unsafe to do. That was in my mind, so I will never do that. That was in my mind. Now, uh, 2024, I was driving behind that girl, Emma, riding her first time. And I can tell you, that felt very slow. Even at some point, I could not go so slow. It was like, yeah, hello, come on.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
noticed then when doing that, because I wanted to, I don't know, also for her dad a little bit that I was driving next to her, etc. But then all of
yeah,
a sudden, I thought, hey, I can just let go of my left hand. I can do the one hand drill. I can do this because at this speed, I feel safe to do that.
yeah, for sure. And I think that's good because obviously I believe potentially what he means by going slow or slow is smooth. I think it applies for me. This is my opinion. I think it applies to not allowing to rely on the bike's power to make you fast,
Exactly.
but relying on being smoother.
Hmm.
And I think basically going on what you've just said, I think smooth comes from going slower.
Yeah, but you need the slow for learning something new.
That's right, exactly. So when you can integrate it in a slow way, and exactly like you said, if you can apply that slowly and then increase organically from a good foundation,
Exactly.
that's what makes you quick. And I think I turned 40 this year, and I had probably my most successful racing years when I was 19, 20, my early 20s.
Okay.
But I think I'm quicker now because I've integrated these techniques and learnt to be safer and learnt to be smoother.
But do you think when you were 19 and 20 ever thought about being safe?
Not really, not really. And it was always kind of like, yeah, it's a good point you make, because it always felt back then like a dangerous sport. Whereas now it doesn't really feel like a dangerous sport anymore, because I feel like I'm in much more control,
Okay.
but going quicker or going the same speed. Back then it was go as fast as you can. Doesn't really matter what it looks like.
Yeah.
Just go quick, right?
All right.
But it's more like, actually it's all about kind of having the right technique and the right process, and then building speed from a good foundation. That's how I like to frame what AJ's doing, is building speed from a solid foundation.
Yeah, that is when it goes haywire or not as you expect, then you have at least some good automatic responses. I still see if I'm in a race environment, I as long as I'm riding, I only ride a few races. So every year, one
Mm-hmm.
or two. That's it. What I do.
Yeah, yeah,
And but I make mistakes like, especially in the first round, something happens. Yeah, unexpectedly, some rider comes to the left or whatever. Something happens, and then I brake that hard that I die my engine in the middle of the
yeah,
race, of course. Yeah, and then
yeah.
I'm at the end, of course. So, and I was in the middle. Now I can go back somewhere in the middle, but yeah, then it becomes harder, right, to get in your
Exactly.
spot again.
That's right. And of course, like, so for me, I stopped racing. I haven't raced for three years,
Yeah.
maybe,
Okay.
because I found exactly the same thing. I was finding that I wanted to apply all this stuff AJ was teaching, but when my adrenaline was so high,
Yeah.
right, from racing,
Yeah.
it was like my mind just went blank.
Yeah.
And I wasn't thinking about technique, and I was going back to that 19, 20-year-old Al
Yeah. Okay.
that I fast as I could, and it became, I want to be able to be a better rider. So if it means sacrificing racing for me, it was going to be that, and I believe I don't regret that decision, but I still feel like I've got some races left in me, but I have to rebuild my foundation first, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we are having a
you
good
know,
story here, by the way.
great. Good.
Yeah.
But there's also really encouraging, because it actually proves that we're good at creating a conversation, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
That is very good, and it's a nice conversation in itself.
yeah,
What does it matter?
isn't it? I'll be honest, I lost track that we were doing this.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just
But
having
that doesn't matter. Yeah. That is good. No, that's just nice, and that is,
yeah,
I think, also the funny thing, Al, that we're both in this Moto Academy for some reason. Maybe we can have to think about what that reason is. And I think that's
yeah,
a nice topic also to talk about in such a setting, in a podcast from members,
yeah,
because yeah, that makes that we have something very well in common. But maybe from I come from this direction, you come from that direction, but it is, yeah, I think, I don't know for you at the track, but I also talk the whole day at the track.
oh yeah, yeah.
So
It's the
it's not
side of it.
difficult.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You think, I honestly, sometimes I'm talking so much, my dad will come over and go, "Ow, you need to get out of the track."
Exactly. You're only talking here.
Yeah, dad's favorite saying is, "We're not here to talk, we're here to ride."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, nice.
I'm like, "No, dad, it's 50-50."
Yeah, why not?
I don't know how difficult it would be for me to come to you one day for a visit and we can ride together. I don't know how hard that would be. Can I drive all the way?
Drive all the way, you mean, with your car?
Yeah.
You have to go under the water.
Yeah, so I'd have to go. So would I have to go? Which way would I go?
Yeah, you go to France, huh?
Channel Tunnel, France, and then across. I go Belgium way or
Yeah, you
not?
go up to Belgium, and wow. Um, you were saying that last time as well, but I did not think about it so much. But I think it would be fun indeed if we this year I could make a sort of maybe a long weekend or something. I have to
Definitely.
plan it somewhere around
Yeah.
the time that it is nice to do. So maybe in June or May, whatever, something.
So it's funny you should say that. I'm actually doing a ride day
Right day.
uh, to raise awareness for mental health
Yeah.
within motocross
Oh yeah.
on the 7th of June, the weekend of the 7th of June.
Okay.
So if you wanted to maybe come over for that, that would be phenomenal.
And I have no idea where you live, huh? So where do you live?
So I'm in the southwest of
Yeah,
England.
that.
You when so yeah, I mean you would go. Uh, yeah, you'd be.
Yeah, but
So if you
if
came,
I'm looking for a bed and breakfast, where would I go? That was more.
I've literally got a bed and breakfast about 500 yards from my house.
Oh, okay. Now that is an interesting thing. So first of all, to go into, I have my friend from motocross would also enjoy this a lot. To be honest,
Great, great.
the only thing is he has a new knee.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
he has
Cool.
already one bionic knee. Now he has two bionic knees. I always say, but
That's fine.
yeah. So I'm not sure how far he is himself, and if he already is driving at that point in time. But last year he was a little bit like, can I not come and just have a look on that day when we?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I understand that you want to come, but I'm going with Sandra, and yeah, the thing is also I do not want to leave him then alone or something. And but
Absolutely.
Sandra, yeah, she was like already like, hey, we're going on holiday and you're going to drive your motorcycle. You do that when I'm not there. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a little bit how she's sometimes she's a little bit very outside from my point of view that I like, you could give a little bit more interested in it. That's my hobby. But that is a
Yeah.
little bit how it has been with our relationship all the time. She's like, okay, you have your hobby, you do your
Yeah.
thing, and I do not want to get sucked in it. It's okay, and I support it. Yeah? So in that respect, but do not expect me that I'm there or something because
I think that's healthy. I think that's healthy. On one level, that's healthy.
yeah,
Although I would find is if, for example, if Sophie was like it kind of more, it's your hobby, you go and do it. I think for me personally, I'd feel a level of guilt if I was off riding. Does that make sense?
oh yeah, yeah, no, yeah, that is you have to understand her when I got to know her, and I do not know Sandra that long, of course. It's now 11
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
so and a bit. Um, is it 12 years? Oh, now I have to be careful.
Oh,
Cut this out.
yeah.
Um, and the thing is, I was doing motocross at that time already, and I explained to her that it is important, and I was doing that every weekend. So she knew that I was doing that. The only I also explained to her I'm not doing races, so it means that if there is a birthday of family or whatever, that has then for me higher priority than go to the cross. While
Cool.
what I see the guys who do the races every weekend, yeah, then family is the second place, so to say.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
and
Fine line.
yeah, in those situations, yeah, I would say the partner should be completely fine with that because yeah, then you are going to miss birthdays and stuff like that.
Mm,
It is so that that at least that is our way of handling this. So she does not try to make an appointment on the Sunday because I always drive on a Sunday.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
That makes.
if it cannot be something else because it's a birthday on a Sunday. That you do not decide that when somebody's doing that. Okay, then so be it. But if, let's say, you make an appointment with friends to do a game, a board game or something, whatever. But that's what we often do, for instance. Yeah, we do not do that on a Sunday. Simple as that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, it's that, and I think that's a good, healthy relationship where there's understanding.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we expect our significant other to be into the sport.
Oh.
It's knowing that you can make the relationship work around the sport, and I think that's healthy. I think that's a good thing. I'm lucky in the fact that Soph's now a big fan of the sport.
Oh, okay.
That's a good thing. So she follows the Supercross, she follows Motocross, and which is great. Mm. Which I'm very lucky. But it hasn't always been the case. I've been with Soph for 20 years.
Wow.
And it wasn't always the case. But of course, she'd never known about motocross when I first met her. So
yeah. I think for Sandra it's the same.
Yeah,
the same story.
Yeah.
She's not familiar with it in that respect. Well, I do not look at motocross on the telly or something, so she's also not really familiar with that. Although, what do we have sometimes? Sometimes we have somewhere on a Sunday or a Monday and a sort of overview of the MXGP or something that I sometimes, if I come across, I will look at it. And she's like, can you turn the noise a little bit lower?
That's funny. That's funny.
But she understands that I would like to have a look at it. But yeah, okay. If it doesn't take too long, then she's okay with it.
Yeah.
And cool. From time to time, how's that called? When they drive in the desert at long distances.
Oh, Dakar. Yeah, the Dakar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that from time to time I watch, but I'm also not. I would not stay home for watching that. It's more like, oh, hey, it's fun. Let's have a look, and then I watch that. So
yeah, but we have this thing called Supercross Sundays now.
Okay.
Obviously, in America, the Supercross events are happening. It's different times, obviously.
Yeah.
So we get to watch the Supercross on the Sunday morning here. So we wake up here, we all make a nice breakfast, and we all sit down and watch the Supercross, which is great.
And how do you watch that then?
So we, if you go onto a website called www.motoworldtv.com.
Oh yeah.
You basically they have like multiple tiers, and we spend £35, I believe, for the whole Supercross season.
And 35 for the whole season?
£5, yeah. So I think it's 75 for everything. So they'll have motocross, Supercross, MXGP, Paris-Bercy,
okay.
All those things. So you can pay £75.
Okay.
You just log in, and it's all there in front of you. And you just play it off your computer.
Okay, so that is not that expensive indeed, because
no.
Because last year I think that AJ was doing that Supercross, huh? Was that last
year? Yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh no,
2013. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, 2023. I think.
Yeah, sorry. I'm now. Go away.
There we go.
Then I was looking at it, I think on YouTube illegally, and I saw it on my Facebook coming up every time. I don't know what it was that offered that, but I looked at it. It costed something like $300. I was like,
wow. No, what I'll do when we've done this conversation, I'll post a link to the website in WhatsApp.
Yeah, but I think I know this, so
yeah.
That is wow. Yeah, that is nice.
And then what they do as well, what I find is good, is they kind of edit out all the kind of bullshitty bits that aren't really very interesting, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like they'll jump races, and it's like, oh, good, so we can just watch it as it is, and that's fine.
Yeah, that is. I think they do a good job, because what I've seen, let's say illegally, so to say, that all looked fine, because there's just a guy who was filming his television or something.
Like, is it called pirating? Isn't it piracy?
Yeah, of course. But yeah.
Never mind. Never mind.
And I think they,
Right.
they they put it online for a few days and then they get it
Yeah.
off quickly because then it was
I'm. I'm going to have to go and take Phil out for the toilet because he looks like he's looking at me in a
okay.
funny.
Good.
He's just left the room. He's just left the room.
Let me
So
stop the recording. I'm not sure how to
cool.
do that yet, so let's see. Look where stop all.